In the movie The Matrix, there's this scene where Neo dies and then he comes back to life. And it's an iconic and powerful scene. And in that moment, the agents just fire a barrage, a shower of bullets at him. And Neo calmly raises his hand and says, no. And the bullets stop and soon they fall to the ground. But few people realize that Neo isn't actually saying no to the bullets or the agents or even the Matrix. He's saying no to his own programming. In a sense, he's saying no to his nervous system's interpretation of reality in that moment. He doesn't have to say no to the bullets because the bullets never existed in the first place. And in that moment, he wakes up to it all. And this is one of the most beautiful and most powerful things that a human being can do. To say no to your own mind and your own programming. And in that moment, you come in contact with something beyond the outer reality, beyond your nervous system, beyond all interpretation. You come back to the source. And from that place, a completely new reality can be created, as happens in this metaphorical example in the movie. Reality bends around Neo's consciousness. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do the same thing. I can't promise you that you'll be able to dodge bullets, but by the end of watching this video, you have an idea of how to actually assist reality in bending around you and to open your nervous system to the miraculous. Because it doesn't matter where you are in life right now. If you feel stuck right now in some aspect of your outer reality, be it life or business or health or relationships, there's usually one pivotal thing that we do that keeps us stuck. Imagine for a moment that in that same example where Neo's standing up and he's just risen from the dead and the agents fire that shower of bullets at him and he starts to run from the bullets, what would happen in that moment? Instead of creating that miracle where the bullets stop midair and fall to the ground, he would be in his mind, through his nervous system, reinforcing the reality that the bullets are real. So, of course, in that moment, they would be real and he'd be running from the bullets. And in fact, up until that point in the movie, that's exactly all that everyone was doing. They were running from the agents, running from the perceived real danger. But in that moment, Neo wakes up and says, this isn't even real. There's nothing to run from. There's nothing to stop. And so, of course, reality chooses to obey because it has no choice. And the very same thing is happening for every single one of us on this planet, especially when we are stuck in a recursive reality loop that just doesn't seem to be going away. And if you're watching this right now and you feel stuck, like there's some aspect of your life that just keeps repeating, this is especially for you. And especially if you're trying to manifest your way into a higher reality, but no matter what you do, nothing seems to be working. Like you're visualizing, you're creating, doing all the spiritual practices, but nothing is moving. I implore you to watch the rest of this and apply this, and you see how quickly things begin to shift. And what this is fundamentally about is the reality that if something isn't moving in your life, if there are some bullets that just keep firing at you, it's probably because in one way or another, you're running away from them. You're trying to dodge them. You're saying, this is real. I have to run. I have to change this. I have to blah, blah, blah. You're paying way too much attention to the outer reality, which is appearing outside of you. Inside of you, there's this incredible fire, this incredible light that you are, that is beyond everything in your appearance and your outer realities, beyond your body, beyond your identity, beyond time. Perhaps at one point in your life, you've had some kind of experience, spiritual, religious, or otherwise, where you came in contact with that. And it was fathomless, beyond words, unspeakable, pure awareness, pure existence, God, consciousness, the infinite love, the divine, whatever you want to call it. Perhaps you came in contact with that, and just a moment of that can change a human being's existence, because in that moment you realize you and reality is so much more than everything that you have been led to believe by looking and identifying with the outside. All right. And then we have our body, which seems to contain that spark, that light. And for most people on the planet, we identify with the body to some extent. I am the body. This is me. And usually around 3 or 4 years old, we start to really identify with this body. Of course, when you have that experience of awakening, it tends to shift that a little bit. But then through this experience of the body, we experience this outer reality, this matrix, so to speak. In that reality, we have all the bullets that we fire or run from. This is where we experience our health, the people in our lives, the money in our bank account, the things that we occupy our time with, the situations that we find ourselves in over and over again, the home that you live in. Everything is the outer reality, but we forget that it's all just a reflection, a pale shadow of what is inside of us. And as long as you're paying attention, and as long as you're saying this reality matters, this is important, this is where life and death happens, this is all there is, you're ignoring that. And you're saying this has more power, this has more authority than that. And this is what is at the crux, and what I have found is at the crux of every single time you feel stuck in life in one way, shape, or form. The reason why we get stuck, why we keep running from bullets, is because we keep buying into the idea that the outer reality is real, and we give it way too much meaning, and we outsource our power and our authority into it. Even when you sit down and say, okay, I'm going to create a different reality, usually that is based out of a spiritual ego or ego that feels identified with the outside. And you have a deep feeling of scarcity of like, I'm not enough. I want to make it better. So I will go out and make it better. And you act from there. And up until recently, even that may have worked. But right now on this planet, you may have noticed something very particular is happening. It's as if it's getting harder and harder to do that. It's as if the very old laws of manifesting don't seem to work and apply to us in the same ways. And that's because our spirit is trying to bring our attention to even more of our identification with the outer that has to go, that has to dissolve. And this might look like everything in your life falling apart right now. Your finances, your work, your relationship, your marriage, your health, all of it just falling away. And naturally, when it does want to fall apart, like it is right now, our ego's gut instinct is to try to piece it back together. No, I will put it all back together with effort, right? I will try harder. I know I've done this myself so many times, especially in times of scarcity, where there is a perceived scarcity. The bullets firing at me were all screaming, hey, you're running out of money. You're going to die. You're going to end up under a bridge. All that, da-da-da. And what would I do in those situations? Like most people, my nervous system was trained to believe it was real. So I would try harder. I would push against this wall of this outer reality and try to prop it back up. And usually what that led to was exhaustion, stress, and the same pattern just repeating over and over again, or nothing would really work. And I noticed over my life, it took me a while to piece this together, is that there came usually a turning point, and usually it involved relaxation, where I would just divinely give up, as one of my most first and beloved spiritual teachers, John Harricharan, would say, the divine not give a damn attitude, where I would just accept things as they are and I would stop trying completely. And in that moment, something very miraculous would happen. All of a sudden, the one in me that stopped trying just dissolved. And there was more light and just pure awareness. And there was this sense of just okayness with what is. And through that okayness, I began to move differently. And all of a sudden, different opportunities would show up and different people, and reality would just rearrange. It was just as if the bullets just stopped and fell. And before I knew it, I would be in a completely new reality with abundance and more friends and more love in my life. And then I repeated this cycle countless times until I met teachers who began to teach me what was actually happening in that cycle on a deeper level. See, all of this has to actually do with the human nervous system. Every single miracle that has ever happened on this planet, whether it's Jesus healing the blind or Wim Hof injecting himself with neurotoxins and proving to scientists that he can turn off his immune system on and off at will, or Tibetan lamas meditating in the middle of freezing conditions in snow, putting towels on themselves and making the water evaporate by heating up their bodies with chi, or certain yogis slowing down their heartbeat to almost an unnoticeable amount or even completely stopping their hearts. All of that happens through the nervous system. Your nervous system is the key to the divine and channeling the power of what you really are into the world. And just for a point of reference, this is the human nervous system. Just imagine there's currently 8 billion of these running around on the planet. And they're doing everything from fighting wars, making babies, chewing bubblegum, and drinking Coca-Cola. And this nervous system governs your perception of reality. We know for a fact now that reality isn't fixed. It's different for every single person. You can put 12 people into a room and ask them what is going on, and every single person will give you a different version of reality, different narrative. Why is it, for example, that sometimes you can have the solution to your problems right in front of your face, but you just can't see it? And then later, when you're in a completely different state, all of a sudden you go, oh, I could just do that. And the solution appears. Have you ever lost your keys and you've been like running around the house thinking like, where are my keys? I can't find my keys. And you get so frustrated and you can't find them no matter what. And you finally let go. And the keys are right there where you put them. Okay, damn, there they are, right? What is the common denominator in all of these stories? It is your own perception of reality, and even deeper, a sense of relaxation that arises that allows something higher, a deeper clarity, to actually arise from within you. So your nervous system is constantly interpreting this outer layer of reality. You interpret it and then you experience it. You experience your own interpretation and recreate it so quickly every single second that you don't even notice it. And the key to changing your reality is in collapsing that pattern and going deep within, back to the source, and spending as much time there as possible. I promise you, if you're stuck right now, if you're struggling, if you have a lot of fear and stress coming out in your life, if there's a situation that seems unresolvable and you're doing everything you can to change it, it's usually a signal that you're in a pattern in your nervous system that's contracting and recreating it. And it's time for you to let go and come home and be with just you and source, you and God, whatever you want to call it, and just be there. And this isn't even like coming home and meditating by yourself so that then reality changes. That is also just another trick of the spiritual ego. I will do this practice so that then my outer reality changes, because the outer reality is so important. Can you see that? Can you see the fear and the anxiety around that? In the 80s and the 90s, when a lot of these manifestation teachings came out, people would begin to draw Ferraris and Lamborghinis and beautiful houses and realities they wanted to create and focus on them and create them. But underneath a lot of that, for so many of us, there was a deep fear of like, if this doesn't happen, then I'm not enough, right? And that's what's underneath the fire of humanity right now. It's that deep, deep fear of not enoughness, of scarcity, of death, of non-existence beyond what we have been able to perceive before, that is now coming to light. And we are all collectively being invited right now to come back to that inner fire and to witness that and to just be with it and to just come home and to stop trying to touch it, stop trying to fix everything, stop trying to do and fix our reality and to just let it be. And as that doer inside of you dissolves, then first you'll notice there's deep peace. There's just peace and there's silence and there's an okayness with whatever is. This place inside of us is profoundly okay with whatever is. It's profoundly okay, whether you make $1 million or lose $1 million or meet the love of your life or lose the love of your life. It's just like, okay, everything is fine. Everything's okay. Everything's well. And to get there, you just sit with yourself in silence. You create a practice every day of at least 15, maybe half an hour where you just sit in silence with yourself and you just be. And I would even say invite the darkness into that space. Invite your deepest fears and just let them be. And the mantra, which I use and has helped me so much, is what would it take to feel this and to soften anyway? And to just soften. Even though I feel so much fear right now, what would it take to just soften? You relax your face, you relax your neck. You can notice how much tension you actually hold around these outer realities that seem to be so real. You relax your body, your shoulders, into the fear, into the sensations that are connected with these outer appearances, and just soften and just let them be and deeply relax. As you do that, what you may notice is that more of it actually comes up, more insanity, more tension, more fear, more anxiety. Good. What would it take to just soften and feel more? And just focus on your heart and just breathe. I promise you, if you do that, even the most insane, even the deepest grief or the most insane psychotic parts of you, the demons and the darkness, the boogeyman, will dissolve in the light of your consciousness. And as that dissolves, you just find that there's this okayness with everything the way it is, like I shared in my previous story. And this outer reality just kind of seems to melt. It starts to dissolve. Like I made these cracks here before. It starts to dissolve around you. And there's just more peace and more light that starts to pour in all aspects of your life. The bullets seem to stop. They don't seem to matter anymore as much. Just like in that scene, they fall to the ground and you start moving from a very different place. This fire deep inside of you is where everything comes from. Remember, it is the source of creation in your life. It's the only thing that matters. And if you're stuck outside of here, it's because you're forgetting that this is the only thing that matters. You're giving power to this, and this can be so convincing of its darkness. Like I'm coaching someone right now who's going through something quite difficult. Things aren't going well. Health is not going well. The business is not going well. And there's this tendency to want to hang on to it, even though you don't even want to do it. And what's coming up for this individual is just so much frustration, so much fear around letting go of current circumstances and really letting go of the doer that can control of it. And as we're meeting together, that fear, there's also this profound relaxation that comes in. Like, okay, it's really, really bad. And I accept it. I'm just going to be with this without trying to change it, without trying to suppress it, without trying to override it. And I know what's coming up next in that process is there's just going to be waves and waves of this fear, but also waves and waves of grace and miracles, as always happens when we allow ourselves to finally meet the boogeyman and finally let go into the fear that our nervous system is suppressing. This is challenging. This is the hardest part of this process because your nervous system has been trained to believe that the bullets are real, to believe that you got to run or that you can change something out here through the actions. But you got to remember, it's all an illusion. It's all kind of a dream. There's this infinite consciousness within you that can create anything on this planet and be anything. And perhaps you've touched it, perhaps you sensed it. And what is happening right now is we are all being asked to integrate that deeper into our nervous system than ever before. Deeper than ever before. And that integration happens as you allow the light of your consciousness through a relaxed nervous system to penetrate that darkness. When the falsities inside of you are illuminated through your own consciousness, they dissolve. And when you focus on what is actually true, it becomes strengthened. And inside here, inside of you, in this God zone, there's a place where you know you're already taken care of, when you know everything is okay, where you already are and have everything that you want. That is why there is that famous mantra, I am that, I am that, I am that. Whatever it is you want, I am already that. I am also everything that you're trying to run away from. So where are you going to go? Just come home, come home, come home. This is so simple and yet so profound and so beautiful. You know, when you look at any dark night of the soul, anywhere that you've gone through that you can look back on, or any famous dark night of the soul of some incredibly inspiring story that someone has gone through, you'll notice one common thing that happens in that. At the very end, usually the hero, the character struggles and they come to this point of no return. And in that, they go even deeper and they meet their death. And there's a point where you realize it's just you. It's just you in the darkness and God. And from that moment, just like Neo rising up from the dead, from the darkness, you really take your first breath where you realize you're just alone with God, with consciousness, with Source. That's all there is. And from here, you can actually begin to create and call upon this higher power. That there's nothing else outside of this, that this is your home, this is your source, this is where your power actually lies. This is the only thing that has ever come through you and created through you, that you don't create really anything, that it is created through you. You just are the one who allows it to be created, forever in love with the mystery, dancing with the mystery, receiving the mystery. You realize you can't really create anything in this life. You can only become a nervous system that is capable of receiving it. And I have noticed in my life, the people that, and they're far and few between, people who I've met who are profoundly, genuinely successful in life. Spiritually, they're fulfilled, they're in love with life, and they're creating at an awesome level. These people usually are the most relaxed. They're the most relaxed. You walk into their presence and it's just, I feel at home. And you feel uplifted by that person, just by their energy. You start to think in higher ways. You start to open to new possibilities. This is the beauty of a mentor or meeting someone who's already anchored in a consciousness that you're gravitating towards. Those people exist on the planet. And the same thing is calling you. And it's calling you from within. That fire is calling you from within. And I'm making this video to remind you of that fire starts inside of you. Any kind of fire that you're trying to light up in here on the outside, it's not going to light in your health, in your business, in your love life until you start to light it up here within. Got to go within here. Spend as much time as you can in this place, loving that place, and just letting this entire outer reality go. Stop giving it any meaning, any power. It is real as experience, So take care of it, go pee, take care of your children, feed your cat, do all that stuff. I'm not saying ignore all that. It's a real experience, but it's not who you are. It's not what is final. What is final isn't here, and it's beyond everything. It is the source of everything. It is the ultimate authority. The buck stops there. And that is your home, your refuge. Turn your back away from everything else and meet the source of yourself and all of life, and all of this will begin to make sense on an entirely new level. Thank you so much for watching this video. I genuinely really appreciated sharing this. And if you'd love more, subscribe down below. And if you'd love to work with me personally, the links are down below this video. I'd love to meet you. Check that out there. And I'll see you in the next one.